Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, if you don't cook or clean and you don't give frequent intimacy, I would like to know how these rat fams think they're a prize. Because they like to say men are not a prize, women are a prize, and that if a woman proposes, she isn't a prize. If she chases a man, if she initiates, if she starts, she's not a prize. And she's being masculine. I always thought that was weird. Because when you really analyze these rat femme gold digger occultists, you're like, huh. So you dislike your man so much so that you don't want to give him frequent intimacy. You don't want to give him lots of children. In fact, you may even abort some of his kids or demand he get a vasectomy. And you're not going to cook, which means his family can't come over to eat. And you're not going to clean, and you're going to demand that he pay someone to clean up your mess. This is a very odd thing to look at because you're like, huh, your beauty is only going to last so long. And then they tell you, well, the way to fix that is date someone 20 years older, or at least 15 years older. But a man could get a woman just as beautiful, but she could do everything you don't do, right? I find this very odd, where you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, so you don't know how to cook, and they'll say, oh, well, I know how, but it's just, I just won't. What? You claim you know how to cook, but you're not going to share those skills with your man. And so, you're not going to cook, you're not going to clean up your own sloppy mess, you are going to let the house get disheveled if he don't pay for it, and you want to do 50-50 housework, but you want him to pay all the bills. You don't want to give intimacy, and you demand a monogamy. How are you a prize? I don't think that a lot of these gold diggers have really looked in the mirror and asked themselves, what kind of woman am I? I don't think it's wrong to say, what do you bring to the table? I'm not saying that a woman has to pay bills, but she can bring an energy. She can bring affection, romance, fertility. She can bring a lot. And the women will say, well, I bring myself to the table. The man brings the provision. Oh, yes, but the woman makes something of the provision. She's thrifty. She's able to transform the stag he brings to the table into a meal for him. She transforms it. Men they didn't just come and give a bunch of gifts to a woman in perpetuity, while she gives nothing to him in return. So what they do is they take these mythos, these folktales, these archetypes, and invert them to these young women. Because women of the past knew how to sew, they knew how to have a stocked pantry, knew how to run a farm, they knew how to be midwives, they knew quite a lot of herbal medicine. They didn't want their man to get sick. They wanted him to be healthy. They wanted the best for him. Typically. Right? Otherwise, why'd they marry him? And so, you would also see that these women knew a lot of how to help other moms. They weren't just resenting men all day, wishing them harm. And the more you compare how classic women behaved and how they were not only beautiful, but they were a prize because of the skills they had. Okay? They had actual skills. Whereas these gold diggers don't have any skills besides shopping, being nasty, and manipulating, gaslighting. They're just not very nurturing. And I'd argue you can't trust them because their loyalty is attached to the bank account. So they're very devious. You can't live with them and not have any doubts. They're dubious. So if the man has the wealth, he has the looks, he has the high sperm count, testosterone, assets, and he's a hardworking man, got no STDs, nothing really wrong with them, that's a prize. And if you're not going to cook for him, love him, give him romance, give him affection, reciprocate in kind, you're going to not clean, you're going to demand the most, you're going to demand monogamy, and then Never have intimacy when you don't want it. Like, you're always going to make excuses. Oh, I don't feel good. I have this. I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. So you're not even in charge of your own brain. You're too lazy to even get yourself in the mood. You know, you're supposed to be some prize. That's odd. It's very odd. Very odd. I think more women should be more humble and really think about, what can I do for a man? What can I do for my family? What can I do for my community? You know, if you're a Muslim woman as well, what can you do for the ummah? You know, how can I serve Allah? Like, it's good to serve others as well as making sure you take care of your own needs. But these gold digger occultic feminists, they don't think that way. They don't. So I find them very peculiar. And because they think femininity is not cooking, not cleaning, being super idle, being a sort of mannequin thing. They want to be objectified for their beauty, but they don't want to have to be, you know, how would you call this in a nice way? Like, the best way. They don't want to be consistently available for intimacy to their husbands. What is the guy paying for? So you can't have a good conversation with them. He probably doesn't want to talk to you about his work, but, you know, maybe you're quite a bimbo. You got no real depth to you. Maybe he enjoys you not talking a lot. But I'm just trying to point out, if he has nothing in common with you, you're not going to fulfill his needs as much as he wants. You don't know how to recover from fights, you know. They got all these manipulation tactics, the rat femmes, on how to use his history against him, how to break him down, how to humble him while they won't humble themselves. Doing less for a man so that when you break up with him and get the new guy, you don't feel like you gave too much. They're always looking for ways to do the less and ask for the most. And they mock women and call them pick-me's who make a nice hearty meal with organic quality, selectively sourced ingredients for their husbands and their children. They think it's bad when a woman makes a family meal and the children and the father all eat together. They want the dad to eat DoorDash or some frozen food while the kids and her eat something different, thus teaching the children that daddy doesn't get to eat like we eat. Daddy is less than, and even though he pays for everything, he doesn't deserve to eat good, and mommy don't want to cook for him, and mommy's gonna go have some Chardonnay in the garden while he figures out what he's gonna order on takeout. I've heard these gold diggers literally say that if your husband expects to cook for you, take his credit card, order DoorDash, and put it on a plate for him. I've literally heard them say this. So I'm not making this up, and if you go on my blog, I have archived countless feminist posts. I study them like you would study a cancer. Like I'm some sort of doctor looking at this disease and wondering how it spreads, how the infection gets worse with time, and how the malady operates. And so, to their femininity is wickedness. It's mean. It's cruel. It's callous. There's no love in it. They've inverted what femininity is. If you think about a nurturing mother, you think about all these women who are like old school, wearing aprons, making homemade pasta for their family, homemade tamales for their family, naan bread, biryani, you name it. All the different cultures around the world. Women cooking, hooking it up, feeding the village, feeding their communities, serving. And these women are saying, no, we deserve to look pretty 24/7, and we don't have to get our back sore. We don't have to lower ourselves to cook and clean for nobody. And, you know, they get to have this sort of egocentrism. You're like, how are you special? How is that anything at all? But see, their beauty is able to, for temporarily, manipulate some men to the point where these men fall for it. But eventually, I'd argue, once those men divorce those types, I don't think they get fooled again. And a man who keeps consistently picking those types of women is a fool. He may be good in business, but he don't know how to pick a good mate, and you should judge him by his wife. You know, if you're a boss man and you can afford to eat out at the best restaurants, but your wife never cooks for you, I would argue that sure, you're good, you're maybe good at real estate, maybe good at banking, stocks, but you're a dumbass. You just really picked a woman who despises you. Why would you want to be in the bed with a viper like that? I don't get it. But money does blind some people. Money does blind some people. And so, remember, the less you do for your man, the less of a prize you are. I'll stand by that. A good man is a prize. And you treat prizes well. If someone has a prize pig, that prize pig gonna get treated well. If someone has a prize horse that just won the race, Seabiscuit, what was that dog? What was it? Not that the dog, the horse's name. What was it? Seabiscuit, Sweet Pie, Pie Oh My. I don't know. There's been a lot of horses throughout history running the Kentucky Derby and all that. But they get treated really well. So, the prize also behaves like a prize. But being beautiful automatically doesn't make you a prize by default. Because being beautiful doesn't mean you're not evil. There's some beautiful poisonous fish. There's some beautiful poisonous mushrooms. We're like, whoa, that's a pretty mushroom. Meanwhile, I'll take you out. Wow, that's a beautiful bug. Poisonous. That's a beautiful snake. Poisonous. It's kind of crazy. You think about some berries are also poisonous as well. And they're like, this tastes good. Boink, you're gone. I mean, a car can drive fast and be beautiful. Still dangerous. Something being beautiful doesn't mean it's not evil. And if you look at all the folk tales, the stories of a beautiful witch who turned a man into this or did something to that, why did people start writing stories like this? It's because they were tricked by beauty. They were tricked. And people wanted the kids to know, don't automatically trust a woman just because she's pretty. No, don't do it. Be careful. The whole don't judge a book by its cover doesn't mean don't judge an ugly person. It also means don't automatically think because somebody is pretty that they're a good person, that they have to have a good heart. They could be just as evil and use their beauty as a weapon. And so, I mean, the honeypot, the CIA uses women all the time. The honeypot men to blackmail them. I mean, it's classic. You know, these government operatives totally send in really attractive women to get men into precarious situations, and boom, they're blackmailed. They're going to be controlled. So being beautiful isn't automatic definition that you're a prize. The more you give to your husband, the more you give to your family, the more honorable and virtuous you are, the less evil you are, the less cruel you are, the less vain you are, the less vapid that you are, then you become a prize. And the more Islamic you are, the more you become a prize. Good women are becoming harder and harder to find. And I think that's because we're in the age of the Ishtar. We're in the age of the Babylonian whoremongering. You know, the women who shouldn't rule over good women are ruling over good women. Which is why they're on the podcast. They get the clicks. They get the views. They get the sponsors. They get the attention. Well, they're promoting sin. Whereas the good women who are doing the right thing, they're just brushed off for now. But we know a lot of Swift in accounting. They'll get their due. Okay? Point is, I don't think you're a prize if you can't cook and if you won't cook. Because you not having a heart towards your man's nutrition and his health shows you are an evil witch. And if you actually love your son, you wouldn't want him to marry someone who hates him to the point where she loathes cooking for him. You know, even if she only does it once in a while, that's still better than nothing. Okay? Your grandchildren deserve to have proper nutrition. And they deserve to have a loving home where it'll be safe and clean to the best of her ability. Okay? Children living in squalor, children getting poor nutrition, because their mom is brainwashed by rat femme gold diggers online to think that she's above that and that she should look down on the homemaking women who are more homely. That ain't good. That ain't good. But I think more and more men are waking up. I really do. I think that they're starting to see how they've been lied to and how just chasing the most beautiful women, who want them for their money, doesn't last long term. And then when she takes the kids and leaves them, and the kids grow up without a dad and they turn to crime and prostitution, and they're like, dang, maybe I should have picked the girl who was an 8 instead of a 10. Maybe I should have picked the girl who liked me and was very interested in me instead of the girl who was ignoring me and I just was obsessed with her breasts or butt. Think about it. Because the beauty's going to fade and you're going to be stuck with this woman, and the more assets you get, the more she can tear you apart in divorce court. It's crazy. So, a lot to think about. Let me know what you think. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Join the blog. There's a lot of more refutations on there. I'm not monetized, and I don't have sponsors, and I'm independent. So support independent media. Take care.